Good day, ECO231 students. Welcome to the final week of online lectures. This week we will complete chapter 11. It deals with pricing with market power. But please take note, only sections 11.1 and 11.2 is prescribed for second year microeconomics. When you progress to your third year microeconomics, should you continue with economics, you expand on the latter chapters in the textbook. Now, in chapter 10, you learnt about market power that certain firms may have. Now, a firm could have monopoly power, or a buyer, for instance, could have monopsony power. Now, with this market power comes the ability to create a pricing strategy, and this pricing strategy can allow these types of firms to capture the consumer surplus and turn it into profit. Now, in order for the managers of these types of firms to be able to do this, they must have knowledge about demand, and in particular, the elasticity of demand. And in so doing, they can use tools such as price discrimination as a pricing strategy, and we are going to learn about this very shortly. So before we examine the pricing strategies, we first need to understand what capturing consumer surplus is all about. And figure 11.1 is going to help us understand this principle. So you know from chapter 10 that the price a firm would choose to maximize profit would be at P star, and this is where marginal cost and marginal revenue intersect at an output of Q star. And then to determine the price, I trace that up to the demand curve because they have to take into account the market demand. And in so doing, you can determine the price that will be charged. So here we have a single price P star that is charged, and this is the price that would maximize profits. However, could more profit be made if different prices are charged, not just a single price? Now we have a situation where we have different prices. So we saw that if the price was P star, that would be a single price. Then that would be the price that would maximize profits for an output Q star. However, we know that the demand curve reflects the customer's willingness to pay. So there are in fact customers in a region A that would be willing to pay a price higher than P star. So say for instance, you were to raise the price to P1, you could in fact then capture some of those consumers that would pay a higher price in this region. However, you can't raise the price for everyone because you'd lose some of those customers that are not willing to pay a higher price, and hence you would lose profit. Then there are also customers in this region B that would not be willing to pay a price of P star in the first place. That is given by the willingness to pay in this region. It is lower than this price P star. So if the price was lower, say P2, then some of them would of course buy. But of course, you can't lower the price for everyone to P2 because again, profits would fall. So how can you earn or capture some extra consumer surplus by producers, bearing in mind that here we had a single price, but there are some customers that would be willing to pay a higher price, but also there are customers that would be willing to pay a lower price. The firm could thus charge different prices to different consumers. So in region A, you could charge P1 to some consumers, and in region B, you could charge P2 for some consumers, and then, of course, charging the price of P star. And in so doing, you can capture some of that consumer surplus. So this is what price discrimination is all about. It's the practice of charging different prices to different consumers for similar goods. So, as I just said, price discrimination is the practice of charging different prices to different consumers. And there are three types of price discrimination, and we'll learn about them now. There's first degree, degree, and third degree price discrimination. So, we will first look at first degree price discrimination. Now, everyone has a reservation price. Now, what is a reservation price? A reservation price is a maximum price that a consumer is willing to pay for each unit of a good. The firm would like to charge each customer their reservation price if they could. Now, this is what first degree price discrimination is about. It's the practice of charging each customer his or her reservation price. And this, of course, affects profits. And we are going to look at variable profit. Variable profit is the sum of profits on each incremental unit produced by a firm, and that is the profit ignoring fixed costs. So, in the upcoming figure, we are going to see how we can use variable profit to understand first degree price discrimination. So, figure 11.2, it demonstrates the additional profit earned when perfect first degree price discrimination is practiced. Now, I did say the word perfect. We are going to see the example of imperfect price discrimination in the next figure. So, here, if we had a single price P star that was charged, then the output would be Q star. And you can see that is where marginal cost and marginal revenue intersect, and hence at that output, the single price charged would be P star. Now, incremental profit is obtained by saying marginal revenue minus marginal cost on each unit. So, if we want to determine the incremental profits on each unit up to Q star, that would then give us the variable profit. So that is this yellow shaded area. This is the incremental or the variable profit up to an output of Q star by seeing the difference between marginal revenue, which is given by the blue curve, and marginal cost on each additional unit of output up until Q star. So this is the variable profit at a single price of P star, right? This black triangle represents the consumer surplus when a single price P star is charged. Now let's see what happens or what would occur if the firm could apply perfect price discrimination. So to apply perfect price discrimination, each and every customer is charged their reservation price, right? Now there is this extra profit earned because of that perfect first degree price discrimination, and it's given by this purple area. So this is the additional profit from perfect price discrimination. And that is that extra variable profit per unit. It is now the difference between the demand curve, there's the demand curve, and the marginal cost curve. That now yields the profit per unit of output, this entire area. So total output now becomes Q double star, and the consumer surplus, this region, has now been taken up by the producers. So the additional profit from producing and selling an incremental unit is the difference between demand and the marginal cost. And that is what we just saw in the previous figure where we dealt with perfect price discrimination. That additional profit you saw came about that purple area, and it was from selling an incremental unit, the difference between the demand and the marginal cost curves. Now ask yourselves, do you think it's possible in practice to apply perfect price discrimination to be able to charge each and every customer their reservation price? Now, it's only going to be possible if you know someone's reservation price. And if I were to ask you what is the maximum you are willing to pay for something, would you divulge that information? Think about if you were at a market, for instance, would you not try to haggle or try to get a better price than what is the maximum price you're willing to pay? Also, it would only work if there are just a few customers, because once customers realize, oh, you charging this particular person that price, but you are charging me a higher price, surely that would raise some issues. So it only works if there are a few customers and if you know someone's reservation price. So it becomes more realistic to see that firms discriminate imperfectly, right? So figure 11.3 is going to demonstrate imperfect price discrimination. So for instance, a few different prices can be charged to consumers based on estimates of their willingness to pay. So a few different prices, not a scenario where each and every single customer is charged a different price. Now, there are lots of examples where this may occur. So if you think about it, you may have a local doctor that may charge the patients differently. For instance, I may have medical aid and I get charged medical aid rates. Then someone else may not have medical aid, but the doctor has some knowledge about the person's income status and knows that this person is a high income earner and may charge them a similar rate to a private or medical aid rate. But then that same doctor may charge the pensioners a lower rate. So now you have a scenario where a few different prices are being charged based on estimates of those customers' willingness to pay. Now, figure 11.3 is going to demonstrate this. Here we have, again, 6 different prices, the lowest price being P6, and that is where the marginal cost and demand curve intersect. If a single price were to be charged, that would be P star at price P4 over there. You can see at a single price, that's where marginal revenue and marginal cost intersect. Here are 6 different prices being charged. So firms usually don't know the reservation prices of each and every customer, but sometimes the reservation prices can be roughly identified or estimated. So as a result, the firm can earn higher profits, but at the same time, some customers may also benefit. Because if you think about it, there are these customers at P5 and P6 that would not have been a part of that market because they would not have paid this price P star or at P4. But now, as a result of being allowed to pay the reservation price at P5 or P6, as a result, they gain some consumer surplus and are better off, but also the producers are also better off because they can also capture some consumer surplus as a result of these that are willing to pay a higher price than P star 4. So with a single price P4, there would be fewer consumers. However, these consumers, P5 and P6, also enjoy some surplus. And this is as a result of being able to apply imperfect first degree price discrimination. We will continue in the next audio with second degree and third degree price discrimination.